Okay, let's talk about a hidden connection. What if that snack you're eating is secretly setting off a chain reaction, a sort of domino effect that connects your gut to your liver and all the way up to your brain? Well, today, we're going to uncover that exact connection, and you might be surprised just how deep it really goes.
It seems so simple, doesn't it? Just one food choice? But what if that choice is actually the first domino in a long line? The science is showing this incredible cascade of events where one little decision can literally tip the scales, leading to consequences we just never saw coming.
For the longest time, we've put things in separate boxes. We blamed liver problems on alcohol and brain decline we just chalked up to getting older. Two completely separate battles, right? But what if they share a common enemy? The latest research is pointing to this one powerful shared driver, the food on our plates, and that's the connection we're untangling today.
So where does it all begin? What's that very first domino to fall? Well, it all starts with what we can call the ultra-processed problem.
So what exactly are these ultra-processed foods, or UPFs? I want you to think beyond just junk food. We're talking about industrial creations, things that are scientifically engineered to be irresistible. They're designed to hit all our bliss points, that perfect storm of sugar, fat, and salt, so perfectly that they basically hack our brains and turn off that natural switch that says, hey, I'm full. So just how powerful is this effect? Well, a huge study from the National Institutes of Health put it to the test. They gave people 2 different diets and told them to eat as much as they wanted. The results were, honestly, they were staggering. On the ultra-processed diet, people just effortlessly ate an extra 500 calories every single day. And it's not because they were hungrier, it's because the food was literally designed for them to just keep on eating. Okay, so all those extra calories have to go somewhere. And the first stop on this whole journey, your gut. This is where we see that next domino wobble and fall, leading to a massive gut reaction and ultimately a devastating liver overload.
You see, a diet that's high in these foods doesn't just pass through you. It completely remodels your gut from the inside out. A healthy gut is kind of like a thriving rainforest, just packed with diverse, helpful bacteria, all protected by a really strong barrier. But a UPF gut, it's more like a barren wasteland. That diversity just plummets, and that protective wall starts to get weak and crumble, leading to what scientists call leaky gut.
And this is where the real trouble kicks off. When that gut wall gets leaky, things that are supposed to stay safely inside your gut start escaping into your bloodstream. We're talking about fragments of bacteria, specifically this one thing called LPS. I want you to think of it like a constant, low-level poison just seeping into your system, putting your entire body on high alert and creating this state of chronic inflammation.
So what's the first organ to face this toxic flood? Your liver. I mean, it's the body's main filter, right? It just gets bombarded. And this relentless attack triggers inflammation and causes the liver to start storing fat in places it absolutely shouldn't. This is the very root of what we now call fatty liver disease, or MASLD.
And don't for a second think this is some rare problem. A staggering 1 in 4 American adults, 25%, is now estimated to have this form of fatty liver disease. That's not a fringe issue. It's a massive public health crisis, and it's being driven by what's on our plates.
But the damage doesn't stop with the liver. Oh no. This brings us to the final and maybe the most alarming domino of all. The brain itself comes under siege.
An inflamed liver doesn't keep its problems to itself. It radiates trouble all through the body. And that wave of inflammation eventually reaches the brain's last line of defense, the blood-brain barrier. It starts to weaken this protective shield, allowing all those inflammatory molecules to breach the walls. And once they're inside, they just wreak havoc, putting the brain's own immune system on a destructive high alert.
The consequences of this in the real world are, frankly, chilling. High UPF consumption is directly linked to a dramatically increased risk for really serious conditions. We're talking Alzheimer's, anxiety, depression. This isn't just a theory anymore. We can measure the decline in cognitive health, and it all traces back to that very first domino. So you might be asking, okay, if these foods are so damaging, why can't we just stop eating them? Well, it turns out the damage itself creates this vicious cycle. The whole system is designed to hijack our very sense of hunger and our cravings.
This is where the hormonal chaos really begins. So your body produces this hormone called leptin, and its job is to shout, "You're full, stop eating." But after constant exposure to UPFs, your brain essentially becomes deaf to that signal. It's like the smoke alarm is blaring, but nobody's paying attention. In fact, people on these diets have almost 4 times the level of this fullness hormone, but their brain just isn't listening.
So the "I'm full" signal is broken. But to make things even worse, the "I'm hungry" signal gets stuck in the on position. Normally, after a meal, your hunger hormone, ghrelin, is supposed to drop way down. But in one study, a shocking 68% of people on a UPF diet still had high levels of it even after eating. Just think about that. Their body was screaming, "I'm full" and "I'm hungry" at the exact same time.
And this is where it starts to look exactly like addiction. Brain scans show us that just the sight or the smell of these foods can trigger a massive 142% stronger dopamine response in our brain's reward center compared to whole foods. That pattern isn't just similar to substance addiction. In many ways, it's identical.
It's a perfect biological trap, really, and it's summed up perfectly by this one key insight. Metabolic dysfunction begets neurological changes, reinforcing poor dietary choices. In other words, the very food that's making you sick is also rewiring your brain to crave more and more of it.
Okay, that all sounds pretty bleak, I know. But this is not a life sentence. This entire chain reaction can be stopped. The real question is, how do you break the cycle and start to take back control?
Well, the path forward really has 4 key steps. First, you cut the liquid sugar. That's the easiest source of overload. Second, you start to de-ultra-process your diet to get rid of those engineered triggers. Third, you actively feed your microbiome, your good gut bacteria, to rebuild that gut wall. And fourth, you resensitize your brain to get back conscious control over your cravings.
Let's take rebuilding your gut health, for example. It doesn't have to be super complicated. The goal is one word: diversity. You want to feed your microbiome a wide variety of plant fibers. Think different colored vegetables, different fruits, beans. This is the fuel your good bacteria need to really thrive and repair that critical gut barrier.
And what about resensitizing your brain? Well, there's this surprisingly powerful exercise called the raisin technique. Now I know, it sounds a little silly. But what you do is you take a single raisin and you just experience it with all your senses. What you're really doing is training your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain that handles impulse control. Think of it like doing a bicep curl for your brain's brake pedal. It helps you regain command over that mindless eating.
So, we've seen the whole chain reaction, right? From a simple food choice all the way to brain health. But here's the good news. You don't have to stop all the dominoes at once. You just have to stop the next one. So the real question is this: what is the first domino you're going to choose not to push?